Hello and welcome to the 41st edition of the Local Lowdown podcast. My name is Zach Bischoff, and I usually am joined by Danny Shanholzer, but today I am joined by. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Hutchinson. Zach and I go way back. I'm actually here in my college dorm at the University of Alabama, so pretty far away, but
Yeah.
happy to join the show. You know, Pittsburgh proud. So thanks for having me. I'm excited to
Yeah.
get into it.
Yeah, fun fact, Kevin was actually the morning news anchor for our high school's morning announcement, so that's kind of why, yes, the signature salute.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I thought he would be suitable to step into this role here tonight in place of Danny. Okay, Kevin, just kind of tell us about a little bit about yourself, and it's kind of just a brief synopsis of kind of what's been going on.
Yeah, no, sure. So, like I said, I'm a freshman at the University of Alabama. I think, Zach, I graduated a year behind you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you graduated a year. So I just graduated in June. I've been living at Bama, living it up. The football here is obviously very good. So
It is.
No need to worry about that. But yeah, big sports fan. I love football. I'm actually studying to become a sports broadcaster, ideally.
Oh.
So yeah, I just all things sports, all things NFL. Just love it. So I'm excited to be here.
And Kevin will hopefully be joining us on our future episodes regarding the NFL.
Yeah.
Kevin, I just kind of want to talk tonight about just kind of week 2 in the NFL here, and kind of previewing week 3 here. So, Danny, Kevin, talk to me about. I knew I was
Force
going
a
to do
habit.
that.
Force a habit.
Just kind of talk to me about the Steelers, kind of win in Denver here, and kind of just kind of give me your thoughts.
Yeah. So I got a sort of a take on that. So you look the Steelers through week 1 and week 2. Obviously haven't broken that 20-point mark in either game. I think it was they scored 18 week 1, and then we scored 13 in week 2. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. So you see the way that, we're winning these games, and it's not reliant on quarterback play. Like Justin Fields has been okay. It's more about playing good defense, keeping the game close, relying on the run game. And I think that if the Steelers can keep doing that and keep following that formula, I mean, I think they could be a 10, 11, maybe even 12 win team. I mean, because it's not like the quarterback play isn't the focus. It's more about keeping it close, making splash plays on defense, and just taking care of the ball. And I think if the Steelers do that, we'll see more close wins like we saw in week 2.
Can we give me your thoughts on just the officiating over the past couple weeks? Because I was watching a couple of there was a couple of questionable calls there that went against the Steelers.
Well, we all know that there's like that NFL script, right? So I just it's kind of weird that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year with Taylor Swift happening to date a Chiefs player. If she would have dated Christian McCaffrey, I wonder if the Super Bowl would have been different. But you're always going to have those calls. I mean, there's a saying, and this applies more to basketball scoring, but there's a saying like sometimes you have to win by 15 to win by 1 because the refs are going to be so skewed. So I feel like moving forward, the Steelers just have to emphasize moving the ball downfield. Justin Fields, I think, is going to be the starter again. At least for the next couple weeks. So putting him in situations to succeed, I think you want to use his athleticism as a runner, but just try to put yourself in a position where one penalty isn't going to ruin the whole game for you. Yeah. And I think the Steelers will be fine.
Yeah. Kevin, kind of talking about the second half of the schedule there for the Steelers after week 9 is going to be brutal.
It's insane.
It's going to be. Now the Ravens, Kevin, have surprised me. They do not look good.
They don't look like themselves. And this was a prediction. Sorry to cut in, but
no.
This is something I've been thinking about all off season. You look at the Ravens crushing loss in the AFC Championship game, crushing loss, right? They should have won that game, 100%. So you're looking at the offseason, they lose their defensive coordinator. They lose Patrick Queen to the Steelers, right? Yep. They lose all those pieces. They don't look like the same team. I think Lamar losing weight is actually a bad thing because he can just get injured more easily. And I like Lamar Jackson. I don't hate that man at all, but like they just don't look like themselves. And so maybe they'll be a better team when the Steelers face them later in the schedule. But I'm just looking at that schedule. I mean, you have the Browns twice, the Ravens twice, Bengals twice, and then I think the Chiefs and the Eagles. So that's a brutal 8-week stretch. I mean, you're just going to have to hope that like Watt can stay healthy, Minka can stay healthy, and just try to get those pieces into place.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what I predicted the Steelers because we predicted a couple episodes ago. I forget what I predicted. I want to say 9-8, 8-8, something like that. Or did I go 10? I think I went 10-7.
Okay.
I think I think I went out on a limb and said we're going to beat Baltimore twice.
Okay.
I do think with the way that team looks right now, which is not good, especially on that right side of the line.
No.
I think that the Steelers, if they play well, can beat the Ravens a couple of times and hopefully stay first in the North like we are going into this week's action.
Yeah.
Kevin, just moving into just the rest of week 3, kind of give me like what game you're looking at most here and
what storylines I'm looking at. So,
yep.
Man, week 3, I think, is going to be harder to predict than the first 2 weeks. I mean, who knew that the Saints would be so good, right?
Yep.
I was betting on the Saints to be the worst team in the NFL, but they're 0-2, put up like 90 points in 2 games. It's insane. So you look at Philadelphia, who just came off a crushing loss against the Falcons. They're going to New Orleans, right? So I think that's going to be a big game. I do think the Eagles are going to win that one because I think the Saints' magic is kind of going to run out there. But that's going to be a matchup. And then Baltimore versus Dallas is going to be a huge matchup because the Ravens are 0-2. The Cowboys are trying to redeem themselves after last week. So those are really my 2 games to watch is Eagles, Saints, and Ravens, Cowboys, because there are just a lot of good storylines in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alvin Kamara last week had me 43 fantasy points. So I'm
43.
Like, yeah, he had 43.
That's insane.
Yeah, he had I'll definitely be keeping him in there for this week.
Yeah.
And then I'm running out of things to talk
For
about.
sure. No. I think one thing I forgot to mention, like about week 3, it'll just be fascinating to see. So the Steelers host the Chargers. It's our home opener down at Acrisure. The Chargers looked good through their first 2 games, but Justin Herbert is like dormant. Like they're just relying on J.K. Dobbins. So I think the Steelers defense is going to be the first defense that's actually going to clamp J.K. Dobbins down. I think that, TJ Watt and the front 4 and, they're going to limit his production. So it's going to be interesting. Like, is Harbaugh going to be able to pull up enough passing plays in the playbook to open up that Chargers offense? And so I think if the Steelers have any hope about making the playoffs this year, this Chargers game is kind of a must win because it's the first good opponent the Steelers have really played so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to Sports Talk Radio this morning, and they were talking about how they've never really seen J.K. Dobbins, and they were surprised at how explosive he was because he's been hurt. He's been hurt most of the last couple of years. So I'll be curious to see kind of what the Steelers defense can do there. And Kevin, can you answer me one question? Why can the Steelers not protect the middle of the field on defense?
Man, you tell me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer. I mean, that's something that we're gonna have to clean up because you're looking at like those opponents. Like we're talking about the back half of the schedule. Cleveland's defense. Okay, so this is probably a hot take, but those 2 games against the Browns, because the Browns, that's 2 games in 3 weeks, right? That might actually be really difficult because the Browns defense is very, very good, right? The Browns offense, obviously not very good, quarterback issues, but the Steelers are going to have to get better offensively going into those games. And I think on defense, I don't know if there's an easy answer for tightening up the middle, but if this is going to be a real playoff team, that has to be figured out.
Yeah. Let's see here. How about we're winding back to week 1, Kevin. The Browns, I forget what the score was. It was so bad. The
Browns Cowboys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 33-17, I think, was the final mark on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really surprised. I'm like, I never thought the Browns would be that bad.
Well, I'll tell you what, I watched some snippets of that game, and Deshaun
Mm-hmm.
Watson looked terrible.
He did.
And obviously everybody knows what his off the field issues are. I don't even have to
Oh,
bring them up.
yeah.
But he's not even playing well. Like it would be it's one thing to have off the field issues. It's another thing to have off the field issues and be terrible on the field, and he's
Yep.
both.
Yep.
So I feel like the Browns, if they're going to succeed, because they have a very good roster, I think top to bottom, the Browns might have the best roster in the AFC North. I mean, you look at their receivers, you look at the defense. Dustin Hopkins, very good kicker. Like they have a good roster. I think they need to bench Deshaun Watson and put Jameis Winston in, because I think that's going to give them their best chance to succeed this year.
Let's see, two more things for you. If you've seen Brock Bowers, I think that's the name for the tight
Yeah,
end
Brock
for
Bowers. Yeah.
Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of give me your thoughts on. I was surprised. I tried to pick him up in fantasy twice this week, and my waiver claim got denied.
Oh,
But he's really good, and he's really a bright spot on that Vegas team that
doesn't have a lot of
doesn't have a lot.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting with Brock Bowers because you saw this at Georgia. Like he can do everything. I feel like back in the old days with tight ends, like it used to be a tight end was just a blocker, maybe caught a few passes now and again. Brock Bowers, sorry, can do everything on the football field. I mean, he can block, he can do short passes, he can be a deep threat. He can basically attack anywhere on the field. And so when you have an asset like Brock Bowers, not only does it open up your offense, but it gives you opportunities like on third down, in the red zone. It gives you opportunities to be more dangerous on offense. And for the Raiders, I think that was a slam dunk of a draft pick. Like everybody criticized them because they already had a tight end and they needed like defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at a player like Brock Bowers, who I think could be one of the best tight ends in the league 2 or 3 years from now, you got to take that opportunity to draft him. And I think Vegas made the right move.
Yeah, he made a hell of an impression last week.
Yeah, he definitely did.
And Kevin, talking about that game on the other side of the ball, Justin Tucker, it appears has been
What's wrong with him?
What's wrong with him? Yeah, he has really not been good to start off the year after being, pretty much automatic.
Oh yeah,
missed,
he was. I mean, what happened to the guy who kicked a 68 yarder at Ford Field a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see that kicker anymore. I think right now, for my money, the best kicker in the National Football League is somebody who didn't even play college football. You know Brandon Aubrey?
Yeah, he played in the USFL.
Yeah, he played in the USFL. And
yeah.
I remember watching on my TV, it was 2 years ago. I remember Brandon Aubrey, and they were saying how he didn't play college football. He played soccer at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I remember that now.
For my money, he is the best kicker in the NFL. He never misses. He drills it straight down the middle. Like, Brandon Aubrey is taking over that throne. And when it comes to Justin Tucker, I don't know why he's falling off. Maybe it's just age, but
yeah. I mean, he's been around for as long as I can remember.
He's been around since Joe Flacco was there. And so maybe that tells you everything you need to know, but he's not the same kicker he was, for sure.
All right, Kevin, that's all I got for you. Any closing remarks before we wrap things up here?
No, I think this is a wild NFL season. I mean, nobody expected like the Ravens to be 0-2. Nobody expected the Saints to be 2-0.
Yeah.
So just goes to show that like you can have all the analyses and everything you have on paper, but until you get into like an actual game day scenario, you never know what's going to happen. So I think it'll be interesting to see these week 3 games. I think are going to be very hard to predict. I think it'll be interesting to see if like the Vikings and Sam Darnold keep doing well. I'm rooting for Sam Darnold because that's a cool comeback story. But I think just with the Steelers, if they can keep playing defense, leaning on the run game, keeping it close until the fourth quarter, doing what the Steelers do best, I think they can win 11, 12 games and win the division because Baltimore is not doing itself any favors.
No.
And I don't think Joe Burrow's wrist is fully healed. He's not playing the same. So it'll be interesting to see how the division shakes out. I mean, I think Deshaun Watson's going to get benched in the next few weeks. So the AFC, yeah, he should. So the AFC North is just going to be a dogfight, and I'm all here to see it. So
yeah, I'm here for it too. All right, yeah, that's all we got for you, Kevin. Thank you once again
Thanks for having me, Zach.
Coming on to the show.
Anytime.
Yeah, and we look forward to welcoming you back on in future episodes. And then just stay here for a second until I end this.
Yeah, for sure.
And on behalf of Danny and myself, we want to say thank you for listening and watching. And with that, we'll see you next time right here on the Local Lowdown podcast.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.